Michael Turner had not stepped inside his childhood home in almost 8 years. The house looked exactly the way he remembered it. The same cracked driveway, the same dying oak tree leaning over the porch. Even the porch light still flickered the way it did when he was a teenager sneaking back home after midnight. But the moment Michael opened the front door, something felt wrong. Not loud, not obvious, just heavy, like the house had been waiting for him. 3 days earlier, his father Richard Turner died suddenly from what doctors described as a massive heart attack. No warning, no long illness. One moment he was alive, and the next he was gone. Michael barely had time to process the news before his mother asked him to come home and help sort through decades of family belongings. At first, he almost refused. His relationship with Richard had been distant for years. Cold conversations, missed birthdays, half-finished phone calls that always ended in silence. Somewhere along the way, father and son stopped understanding each other completely. But guilt has a strange way of pulling people back toward unfinished things. Before we go deeper into tonight's story, tell us in the comments where you're watching from, and if stories like this pull you in emotionally, subscribe now because the ending of this one will stay with you long after it's over. The first 2 days passed quietly. Michael helped his mother clear old closets, move furniture, and organize dusty boxes stacked in the attic for decades. Most of it was ordinary: old tax documents, broken Christmas decorations, family videos nobody had watched in years. Then came the photographs. Thousands of them. His mother spent hours sitting at the dining room table sorting photo albums while Michael flipped through loose pictures scattered across the floor beside her. Birthdays, vacations, school graduations, family cookouts, tiny frozen moments from a life that now felt strangely unfamiliar. And then Michael noticed her. At first, it barely registered. A woman standing near the edge of a photograph taken at a family barbecue 3 years earlier. Slightly out of focus, long dark hair, pale face, standing near the tree line behind the family. Michael frowned. "Who's that?" His mother barely glanced up. Probably one of the neighbors. But something about the woman bothered him. Later that night, Michael found her again. Different photograph. Different year. Standing farther back this time near the garage, while the family smiled in the foreground. Same woman. Same pale expression. Watching. A cold feeling slowly crept into his stomach. The next morning, Michael spread dozens of photographs across the dining room table and began comparing them carefully. And that's when he realized something impossible. The woman appearing in the background of the photographs was Emily Turner. His aunt. Richard's younger sister. The woman who had supposedly died 9 years earlier. Michael stared at the images for nearly an hour trying to rationalize what he was seeing. Maybe the resemblance was coincidence. Maybe grief and exhaustion were distorting his memory. But deep down, he already knew. It was her. The same sharp cheekbones, the same dark hair, even the silver necklace she wore constantly before her disappearance. Michael remembered the funeral clearly. Closed casket. Rain pouring across the cemetery. His father crying harder than Michael had ever seen before. Everyone said Emily died after struggling with depression for years. The official story claimed she drove her car into a river nearly 200 miles away. Her body was supposedly recovered days later. But now Michael noticed something else. He had never actually seen the body. No one had. That night, unable to sleep, Michael searched through old boxes stored in the basement until he found newspaper clippings about Emily's death. The articles felt strangely incomplete. No details about identification. No mention of witnesses. No photographs from the scene. Only vague statements from police. The deeper Michael looked, the stranger everything became. Then he found the voicemail. An old cassette recorder, hidden inside one of Richard's desk drawers upstairs. Michael almost ignored it entirely, until he noticed a handwritten label attached to the tape. Emily, Do not delete. His hands trembled as he pressed play. Static filled the room first. Then breathing. Uneven, nervous. And finally, a woman's voice. Richard, please call me back. I don't know what to do anymore. She keeps asking questions. I think Michael saw me through the window yesterday. Michael froze. The voicemail was dated only 4 years earlier. 5 years after Emily supposedly died. His chest tightened. Why would his father keep this hidden? And who was asking questions? The next morning, Michael confronted his mother carefully, trying not to alarm her. But the moment he mentioned Emily's name, her entire expression changed. Fear. Not grief. Not sadness. Fear. She immediately told him to stop looking through old things and insisted the photographs meant nothing. But her voice shook while she spoke. That was the moment Michael realized something inside the house was being hidden deliberately. And whatever it was, both of his parents knew about it. Over the following days, Michael began noticing things he should have seen years earlier. His father's study upstairs always remained locked growing up. Certain hallways in the house were strangely narrow, almost as if rooms had been altered decades earlier. And every night around 2 a.m., faint footsteps echoed somewhere above the ceiling. At first, Michael blamed exhaustion, until he heard a door close. Slowly, directly above his bedroom. He grabbed a flashlight and walked upstairs. The hallway stood empty, except for one thing. A door at the far end of the corridor, slightly open. Michael stopped breathing, because he had never seen that door open before in his entire life. It was the old upstairs bedroom his father kept permanently locked for nearly 20 years. The room smelled stale when Michael pushed inside. Dust covered the furniture. Heavy curtains blocked moonlight from entering. And sitting neatly on the bed was a single framed photograph. Emily. But not the version everyone buried. This photograph looked recent. Very recent. Michael's stomach dropped. Then he noticed the closet door. Locked from the outside. His pulse quickened as he stepped closer. And then he heard it. Movement. Very soft. From inside the closet. Michael backed away instinctively before forcing himself forward again. His hands shook violently as he unlocked the door. The hinges creaked slowly open. Inside was not a closet. It was another room. Hidden behind the wall. Small. Windowless. Barely large enough for a bed and dresser. And sitting in the corner beneath a dim lamp was a woman with long dark hair staring directly at him. Older. Thinner. Terrified. But unmistakably alive. Emily Turner. Michael couldn't move. For 9 years, the entire town believed she was dead. But she had been hidden inside the house the entire time. Emily's eyes filled with tears the moment she saw him. Then she whispered something that would haunt Michael forever. He told me nobody would believe me anymore. Michael felt the room spinning around him. Emily slowly explained everything over the next several hours. Years earlier, she discovered something involving Richard that threatened to destroy the family completely. Financial crimes, fraud, money hidden through fake accounts connected to local businesses. When she threatened to expose him, Richard convinced everyone Emily was mentally unstable. Then one night she disappeared. The car crash had been staged. The body recovered from the river belonged to someone else entirely. Richard secretly brought Emily back to the house and kept her isolated for years, manipulating both her fear and dependence until she no longer believed escape was possible. But Richard wasn't the only person who knew. Michael's mother knew too. Every photograph Emily appeared in was intentional. Tiny silent cries for help hidden in plain sight. She wanted someone to notice. Anyone. And finally, after years of silence, Michael did. But the deeper truth proved even more devastating. Richard hadn't died from a heart attack. Emily confessed that 2 nights before his death, she confronted him after overhearing plans to move her somewhere else permanently. The argument escalated. Richard collapsed during the confrontation, and instead of calling for help, Emily walked away. For the first time in nearly a decade, she chose herself over the man who destroyed her life. Police reopened the case weeks later. The town erupted in shock once Emily's survival became public. Investigators uncovered years of forged records, falsified police documents, and financial corruption connected to Richard Turner. But the emotional damage inside the family never fully healed. Michael struggled with one unbearable question constantly afterward. How do you mourn a father you never truly knew? Months later, Emily finally left the house for good. Neighbors watched quietly as she stepped onto the front lawn for the first time in years, beneath the same oak tree where those hidden photographs had been taken. No cameras. No speeches. No dramatic goodbye. Just silence. And freedom. But even now, years later, Michael still keeps one photograph hidden inside his apartment drawer. A smiling family picture taken 4 years before Richard died. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary, until you notice the upstairs window in the background, and the pale woman standing behind the curtain, staring directly into the camera. If this story stayed with you, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Michael's mother was protecting the family or protecting herself? And if you enjoy emotional, real-life storytelling like this, subscribe to Raw Love Diaries for more unforgettable stories every week.